And tonight, David Duckett has a segment of his own.
That's right, Kirsten. We're a little self-absorbed at the moment. And for David Duckett to be in Columbus today, he had to be in West Point, Mississippi in 1983. That's where the native New Yorker procured his first on-air position. Interviewed on a Wednesday, Duckett became sports director, anchoring the sports the following Monday.
Wolverines 72-69. So what's up in baseball? Ole Miss. Here's a look at a beautiful blend of Rebels that win ugly.
He didn't sink, but eventually swam to Jackson, Mississippi's NBC affiliate, WLBT.
Hello there. The first item we have here on Duck's Corner has to do with baseball. Not the game itself, but the people at the ballpark. You viewers who just watch the highlights and don't go to the local games, you're missing something. Let me take you to Smith Wills and show you.
The first person you will run into is Jesse Houston. Great guy, great peanuts.
What are you going to tell me I wasn't?
Well, I'm not too sure about it. Reincarnation.
That's it, Daddy.
That's the guy in the Bible that held them pillars apart for years. He's the guy that could hold back a whole chariot.
I believe that's Samson, isn't it? That's
well,
Samson.
it could be, man.
You've heard it a million times. They say a tie is like kissing your sister, but for the Choctaws today, it was like kissing their dog.
After 3 years in Jackson, Duckett fulfilled a lifelong dream of traveling the world. For 9 years, the trilingual journalist globetrotted and switched over to print media. In Amsterdam, he wrote and edited for the world's fourth largest news service, IPS. In Tokyo, he was an often featured reporter on the edge. He also initiated Tokyo Journal's travel section and freelanced with the Asahi Evening News. All this was actually documented by WLBT 7 years after Duckett's departure. Duckett landed here in Columbus at WSYX, but not before getting lost.
And all this talk about smart highways leads to an obvious question. Are our highways lacking in intelligence as they are? Reporter David Duckett gives our roads a pop quiz.
And the way I go home, you know, they keep changing things around. I don't know how to get there or get to work, get back, or whatever.
Sure, our roads are even less intelligent with all the construction, but even without orange barrels, if the highway system here was a student and you were a teacher, what grade would you give it?
F. You know, only the strong will survive trying to get on the freeways here.
Which is my daily nightmare. Every morning I come off the Summit Avenue entrance onto 670 West. It meets another entrance where cars are going 50 miles an hour already, and I don't even know where they come from. And what happens next is when this car meets up with my car here, I might have to stop, then everyone will stop down there. I've seen accidents, fender benders, and a lot of fingers, one at a time. Dangerous merging on-ramps are compounded by exits impossible to reach, unless, of course, you barrel through several lanes of traffic. I wanted to go there, and I can't. But no matter where you go in Columbus, you are always directed to Indianapolis or Wheeling. There are no signs for Interstate 71 just a mile away from this 270 entrance, whereas reaching 270 from 71, there are no directions for Westerville, only Indy and Wheeling. Some of our highway signs are already getting smarter. Here we must actuate the light. Do you need some help with some synonyms? Actify, activize, dynamize, energize, galvanize, and stimulate. And as our road system gets smarter, we need to keep pace. Doing my part, David Duckett, 6 News. We will have a lot to catch up with by the year 2008. Certain trends got the coverage they deserved.
Yeah, and the toilet shows on the screen. See? It's really fun to take care of them, but it wakes you up in the morning. So I just ignore it.
Unlike other toys, if you don't take care of Dinky Dino, he'll die. That's right. If you don't program feeding, washing, or poop scooping, Dinky and its brethren will bite the dust. But it rises from the dead. Simply push the reset button and your virtual pet will reanimate and live happily ever after. In Columbus, David Duckett, 6 News. Duckett's travels have also come in handy.
News reporter David Duckett had the privilege of seeing her perform her charitable work several years ago. What was that like, David?
Well, moving to say the least. I met Mother Teresa at her Pure Heart Clinic in Calcutta in 1989. And I'll tell you, just weeks after that, she had a massive heart attack and it almost killed her. But recently, Mother Teresa always seemed to be on the verge of death, something she was very familiar with. For the poorest of the poor in India, she provided spirit and dignity in their last hours. The clinic in Calcutta was having another normal day when I visited. People died and others about to die were cared for. Although I said I met Mother Teresa, I really only saw her, shared the same space. She was working. As a matter of fact, visiting her clinic was more like volunteer work. Grab a stretcher, fetch some water, do something. One felt naturally compelled, and that's what made Mother Teresa the saint she was. She annihilated apathy and proved that anyone, even a 4'7" Albanian nun, could change the world. Just hours ago, the Catholic Diocese of Columbus put all this in perspective.
When someone as remarkable as she is dies, you step back and think about her a bit more. And she was someone who said that all life had dignity.
A memorial mass at St. Patrick's on East Naunton Street will start at 7:30 tonight. Everyone is invited, regardless of religious affiliation. Bob and Deb, that's the way Mother Teresa would have it.
And she couldn't stand for anyone to be standing by and not doing anything.
Well, not that she couldn't stand, you would just naturally do it. I mean, she's working and she's busy, and you just got busy with her. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Columbus was originally dubbed Chakota Tamaha, Possum Town, by the local Choctaw Indians, and not because of the animal itself, but because the city's first entrepreneur, Spyrus Roach, resembled a possum. There are no photos of Roach, and we're told that's a good thing. Apparently, he was as beautiful as his name. Columbus, North Carolina has a permanent El Nino effect. Pockets in these mountains create a blanket of cool air, which traps the warm air in the valley. It's called a thermal belt, and Columbus is 10 to 15 degrees warmer in winter than nearby towns of even lower elevations. Just shy of mile 3,000 of our trip, we drop in on a Columbus that isn't used to cameras.
Hey, how bright is that light?
Pretty bright.
While other Columbuses had their claims to fame, it seems not much happens in Columbus, Pennsylvania. So we ask, what's the most exciting thing that's happened here?
A man had a heart attack and died right outside of our township building.
Well, let's see, we had a parade this year.
I suppose probably the most exciting thing was when my husband asked me to marry him.
I can't honestly say. There's a little dandelion that comes up every year right where his little head laid.
Tom Chapin covers the town for the nearby Corey Journal. His biggest story so far was the birth of local septuplets. The same day, a woman bore 7 children in Iowa.
Yeah, it was really strange. Just like the McCoy septuplets, there were like 4 male puppies and 3 female ones.
This mayorless Columbus does have a celebrity. Carol Miser carried the Olympic torch for a kilometer in 1996.
Little Spring, a mechanism down here, was made right here in our own community, and the torch itself was made in Erie, and that was like a big moment in my life.
There's gambling in Columbus with a capital G that rhymes with B, that stands for bingo.
And 44. They're a breed of people all of their own. I mean, they take their game real serious, and they're here to win.
And so was I. Bingo is the weekly event, but when it comes to events, the flood of 1947 changed everything here.
It would be a big town, believe me. They were doing a lot of things here, but then that dam went out and there was nothing here.
Maybe a blessing in disguise?
You know, I think so too.
So does Larry Walters, a former member of the U.S. acrobatic ski team. He's traveled the world, only to return here as the town's head groundskeeper.
You have to live someplace, you know, whether it be New York City or Los Angeles or whatever, and this is where I wanted to live. You know, you really don't have to lock your doors when you go to bed at night.
It's a farming town where the only bar is a rural Cheers. The general store clerk knows everyone.
Should be the first one on the right.
On Route 6.
On Route 6.
And where few regret, very little happens here.
Columbus is a nice town. I'd hate to leave it. Wouldn't we, Archie?
From the Columbus where we were the biggest news, David Duckett, 6 News.
I take it you didn't do too well at bingo.
N35, it wasn't in there as a conspiracy, I think.
You know, David, your series has been so fun. I'm thinking you must know more about Columbus than anybody on the planet.
Not the case. Actually, we got a letter yesterday from the Willisons in Millersport, Ohio, and they ask, we have tried to locate all cities and towns named Columbus, and there are a lot of people like this. I was wondering if you have located more than 20, and yes, there are 41 Columbuses around the nation, that is. There's some in the world as well. A lot of those are also named like Columbus Junction, Iowa, if you want to count those. But there's also a Columbus underwater in Louisiana. Louisiana. They built a dam, so
And there's
you can scuba there. If you want to try that, the Willisons, I hope you have your dive card.
no Columbus by the beach anywhere, though.
No, he was a mariner, and believe it or not, Jason and I kind of thought of this, you know, let's go to the beach, but there is no Columbus on the beach, and he was a mariner.
Tell us quickly about the newspaper, the world's smallest.
World's smallest newspaper, the Tryon Daily Bulletin, printed in the thermal belt of western North Carolina. We make the front cover of this one. Yeah, the media was on us. Really, it was tough.
Thank you, David. It really has been an interesting series.
Thank you, Deb. Most of his time here has been devoted to features, but if there's hard news, he'll get it. From this house, as you can see, the people here are not very happy. Started James Chandler, excuse. Hey, cut it out. Don't shoot.
It looks like they don't want. It looks like they do not want David Duckett in that neighborhood, obviously.
Versatile, imaginative, and experienced, Duckett has a knack of being in the right place at the right time. And apparently he won't drop the ball. And here's the proof, actually, this ball has yet to touch the ground yet. Kirsten, tell everyone where they can get one of these.
Well, if you'd like your own personal David Duckett, here's where you can order.